Donald Trump gave us a bizarre update this morning regarding the Clarity Act. This week is going to be a big one because there's only 7 days left before the final deadline in the House. And let's not forget what we heard last week, where we got the news that 40 countries are silently buying Bitcoin. And it really makes me think, is this why Donald Trump is saying that they are on the verge of losing control to China? So, again, bizarre tweet this morning from Donald Trump. Here is the tweet. It makes it, look, guys. The connection is wild, all right? So he tweets, in honor of Senator Lindsey Graham, a big supporter, the U.S. Senate should pass the Clarity Act. China and many other countries would like to take complete and total control of this major financial happening, as well as AI, where we are now leading, but where they are fighting hard. Don't let China win on either subject, President Donald J. Trump. So we got that this morning. And for you guys that maybe don't know, Senator Lindsey Graham passed away over the weekend. He is a Republican, and there's actually a good article here. It's on KuCoin, or actually, I have a better one. Let's do it from the Hill. And it goes, crypto bill faces make or break moment ahead of August recess. So I've been telling you guys the deadlines are coming up. There is a very short time to get the Clarity Act passed. This week, we have Senate coming back today. I think they're going to be deliberating over the Clarity Act all week. And then we get a vote, I believe, or a hearing on Monday. Here is the best breakdown that I could find for everyone here. The Clarity Act timeline. Can the U.S. crypto bill finally pass in July? After missing its July 4th target, lawmakers are preparing for another push as the Senate returns on July 13th, so today. However, political disagreements, ethic rules, and key crypto provisions still stand in the way. The expected timeline is July 13th to the 17th, Senate procedural vote, Senate returns from recess and begins procedural work before holding a final floor vote, and that is July 20th and 24th. House and Senate reconciliation process, House and Senate work to resolve differences between their versions of the bill, July 27th to August 7th. It's either on Trump's desk for final signature or it's just not going to happen at all. That's pretty much the full breakdown here. But let me return to the Hill here. And we got a cryptocurrency regulation bill is facing a make or break moment as senators seek to resolve remaining policy disputes in the next 4-week stretch, which experts warn is likely the last window to pass the legislation before the midterm elections. Bipartisan negotiations over the Clarity Act, which aims to provide a regulatory framework for the digital assets industry, are coming down to the wire ahead of Congress' month-long August recess. Republicans and crypto-friendly Democrats still have yet to reach agreement on key sticking points like ethic rules for government officials and illicit finance, particularly hinged on the fact that Trump made, $1 billion on crypto meme coins and rug pulls. So if the bill fails to move forward before lawmakers leave town next month, there's little room in the calendar for another push before the midterms, which could shift control of Congress and send the legislation back to the starting line. Again, you have this July 20th date. GOP leadership is aiming to start consideration of the Clarity Act during the week of July 20th. So next week on Monday, we will really get into pretty much the final stretch of what's going on. Now, the interesting aspect here, let me pull this tweet up again because it is kind of bizarre. Trump is saying in honor of Senator Lindsey Graham, which of course passed away. He is a Republican. So the GOP majority right now in the Senate is narrowing because they just lost Lindsey Graham. Also, Mitch McConnell, who knows what's going on with him? Apparently, he is doing well in the hospital, though there's a lot of rumors that he also passed. People are saying that the picture that they posted was like AI. I don't know. What do we really know here? But again, this needs to be bipartisan. There needs to be Democrats that are on board with this. And if we did just lose, and well, I'm not going to say we, if the GOP, if the Republicans did just lose 2 Senate members, it's looking like the vote is going to be even more contentious than it already was. Now, that doesn't even account for all the other things that Senate wants to do within the next month before they take that August break. And then, of course, when they come back in September, it's the midterms. So again, if this doesn't get passed within a week, it's probably not going to get passed. Now, as I've been mentioning, we are seeing a big push coming from the Trump administration, whether it's Scott Bessent, Donald Trump himself. It does seem like there is a huge push to get it through, which makes me think that there might be a possibility of it actually going through. I know when the Genius Act was being deliberated on, there was a moment there where it looked like it wasn't going to pass at all, and yet it still passed. Now, we made the case that it's most likely because it's about stablecoins, and we all know they want stablecoins to continue dollar dominance around the world, which is why they actually got it through. We're seeing right now something similar maybe playing out. As I covered last week, Elizabeth Warren and her camp of Democrats are seemingly desperate right now. They're trying to do everything they can to stop the Clarity Act. Now, can the GOP and the Trump administration do a last-minute Hail Mary, get a last-minute push to actually get it through? Will we be seeing this week that there are some negotiations, some considerations so that people get on board with the Clarity Act? It does seem as if Trump and the federal government is very, very adamant about Bitcoin adoption and getting the Clarity Act through, but do they have enough pull to get through the House is the real question. So, honestly, here's my kind of take on this. Hopefully, final 7 days where we can finally put to rest whether the Clarity Act is going to go through or not. Again, everyone's been saying for a long time that if the Clarity Act gets through, capital is going to step off the sideline and finally enter Bitcoin. If we finally get, quote, clear rules of the road, then we can finally see number go up. Now, whoa. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there. My phone's going off. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we are of two options here, which are obviously very clear. Either Clarity Act fails, which a lot of Bitcoiners right now are pretty adamant about it. Like, let's not even pass this thing. It's kind of atrocious. We don't need the politicians. We don't need the suit coiners. The Clarity Act is going to be bad for us. Yada yada yada. Which I'm kind of on that side of the camp. And then we have the other side, which is if they do pass the Clarity Act within a week, within 7 days from now, then could that be the final catalyst to really mark the end of the bear market? And I am going to look at some on-chain metrics for you guys at the tail end of this show, which is constantly showing, at least all the data I've been seeing is like whether Clarity Act passes or not, we are, as I've been saying for a while, closer to the end of this bear market than most people probably want to believe. There's still this overarching view that, the Bitcoin bottom's not going to be until October. Could be the case. I'm kind of the opinion that everyone is looking for that October final capitulation moment to mark the end of the bear market. And I'm kind of leaning towards it's probably going to take off before October. Hence why on the Friday show, if you watched it, I was trying to message Nico from the couch. Wait, pause. To emphasize this point here. If you are in fact waiting for October to confirm the 4-year cycle for you, I would probably not wait until October per se to get your final buys in. I would do what I'm blanking on the guy who was in that clip from Van Eck, Mike something. I'm blanking on his name. But anyways, his advice was make sure you are prepared before October. If you are a 4-year cycle guy and you're waiting for October to be like, okay, bear market's finally over, the best advice would be prepare now, get your position built. So maybe your final buy is in October, but you do not want to be waiting until October to be fully re-entered into the market. Now, with that being said, because what we've seen in Bitcoin is almost a self-fulfilling, narrative-driven, psychological market, I have a feeling that everyone's going to front run that October decision or that October time date, and we might start ripping in September, at least start to climb out of this in September. Now, it would be even more bullish, again, if the Clarity Act did pass here in August, that August could potentially mark the bottom. So would you want to be waiting till October if this gets through in August? I don't think you want to be sitting on the sidelines waiting for a final capitulation move in October. I think you want to be ready and in the market by October. Again, whether Clarity Act gets through or not, I think it's besides the point. I think you should be preparing right now for the next 2-ish, 3 months for building your entire Bitcoin position at the bottom of the bear market. I think this next 2-3 month stretch is when you want to be fully re-entered into the market, or at the very least, doing a form of DCA. If you have dollars on the sideline, you might want to be completely in before October. I don't have any, I don't have any charts or what have you. All I have is, look, it's a very gut level 42 IQ view of this. We saw the halving, we saw the all-time high before the halving by about a month. So we might be seeing the Bitcoin bottom at the very least moved up a month, which would be September. Now, I know everyone's waiting till October. I know we're all waiting for a final capitulation movement. But the on-chain metrics are essentially looking as if seller exhaustion is happening right now. There's not that many people left to sell Bitcoin. There's not that much selling pressure on the market right now. The only thing that the Bitcoin price is lacking is demand. No one's buying. And maybe further, if you are buying, the DCA plebs right now, like, we just don't have enough capital to actually move the market. So, maybe we're buying $10 a day, $100 a week, etc. But that's not going to move the market right now. There is very little demand right now happening on Bitcoin. It's because of everything else going on in the world right now. Obviously, now we know for sure, like, the Strait of Hormuz is closed again. It looks like the macro headwinds from the Middle East war are back on the table. It looks like everyone is still kind of chasing the SpaceX IPO and the AI hype. Bitcoin has just completely been forgotten right now, which is obviously an opportunity for us. While everyone is chasing something shiny and new, Bitcoin's ranging around 60K. It's completely forgotten. And we got a good discount on Bitcoin. So whether the Clarity Act passes or not, I think the next 2-3 months is going to confirm without a doubt that the bear market is ending. Whether it's a 4-year cycle or whether it's just demand comes back on the table, we are like 2 to 3 months left in this bear market. And I think I can say that pretty confidently, even though, obviously, who knows? Maybe we see another Black Swan event. But again, we're not really seeing signs of Black Swan events happening right now. Well, but also by definition, you wouldn't see a Black Swan coming. So, it is what it is. But if you are, like my co-host Nico here, and saying, October, I told you guys, October 4-year cycle, I would not be waiting till October. Now, this week, again, is going to be super critical for what happens with the Clarity Act, whether we can finally put this to rest for it passing or for it failing and we don't get it till 2030. Here is Patrick Witt's update on it, as well as Senator Lummis. So here's Senator Lummis's take on it. She goes, couldn't agree more with POTUS. Senator Graham was a good friend of mine and was passionate about ensuring that American leadership stayed at the forefront of everything, including digital assets. Let's get Clarity passed and to President Trump's desk. Here's Patrick Witt to give you a breakdown of the week. tweeting this morning as well. He goes, a critical week for clarity, which also happens to be the 1-year anniversary of Genius. A reminder of the incredible amount of hard work that has gone into this bill, but also of the time we have already lost. We cannot afford to delay any longer. And I think that's the biggest takeaway here. Not only can they not afford to delay any longer, if it delays any longer, it's just not going to happen. Remember, Senator Lummis has been saying for, I don't know, all of this year, maybe over a year now at this point, that if it doesn't get passed now, we probably won't be seeing anything until 2030. So basically the final week, or I would say maybe the final 2 weeks. This is the last 2-week stretch here where if this gets delayed again, it's not going to get signed into law in August. And then maybe we can finally just like play out the normal Bitcoin cycle as we've all seen happen in the past. It's like, okay, finally, maybe we can put the politicians to rest here. We can finally start to ignore them. We can finally start to be like, okay, Washington, cool. You guys tried, you failed. Let us take it from here. And by that, I mean numbers continues to go up and we start to make our climb going into 2027. So I know a lot of you guys are not the biggest fans of the Clarity Act. And personally, from what I've seen, I'm not as well. But it is one of those moments where if this doesn't happen now, we're not going to be seeing anything of this nature in a long time. And really, maybe, and I know some of you guys are going to get mad when I say this, but let's be honest here. If it doesn't get passed here, I think we can all go and blame Trump. Even though it's like Congress, I know, even though we can blame Congress and they're dragging their feet on this, but I think at this point, as I said a couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump being, quote, the Bitcoin president at this point, probably has done us a lot more harm than good. But at the very same time, even as that tweet mentioned, he did start the nation state dominoes. He did start the nation state game theory here where, look, if the U.S. doesn't pass the Clarity Act right now, like this is going to be the biggest fumble we've seen in a very long time. Maybe even bigger than Germany dumping their coins. Though Germany's dumping their coins right now doesn't look all that bad because they got their price point again. But if we talked, and by we, I mean the U.S., the Trump administration, talked this huge game about stacking Bitcoin. Yes, at least unofficially, unaudited, we have 300,000 plus coins. And again, as I mentioned last week, River Financial did a report, and they're saying that China holds significantly less Bitcoin. We're still technically leading the strategic Bitcoin accumulation race, but we might lose out on the basically embracing Bitcoin from a regulation perspective. And that could hurt America in terms of it actually succeeding in being the, quote, crypto capital of the world. Though, as I argued, a lot of the Bitcoin is being held in America. A lot of the businesses are in the U.S., most of the Bitcoin treasury companies are in the U.S. So from a, adoption perspective, from a who holds the most coins, I think the U.S. is still leading on that. But again, as a Bitcoiner, and I know a lot of Bitcoiners don't like this when it's said, like, you want to live in a country that has favorable rules for Bitcoin. And if we don't see that happening now, we probably won't be seeing that for a long time. And if another country is able to write some good rules, then they will definitely attract more Bitcoin entrepreneurs. Though, with that being said, I don't really agree with the framing that China is going to attract the most Bitcoin and Bitcoin companies. Maybe it's just, I'm American centric. I'm like, dude, who wants to go to China? What Bitcoiners want to live in China? I mean, maybe some, but I maybe there's going to be a dark horse here that comes up with some really good rules. I mean, we saw what the Czech Republic did. Very good rules, though. I think there was a little bit of skirmish around those rules, and they might be pulling back a little bit on that. But yeah, The nation state race is it's getting very interesting. It's getting to the final moment here. So this week will be a big week. I'm going to speculate that we will be seeing some news trickle out from the Trump administration, from Congress, about how this is going. Again, I've been seeing two opposing views here, from the more pro-Bitcoin or more pro-digital asset politicians saying like, no, there's bipartisan support. Behind the scenes, things are working very well. This is going to get passed. And then, of course, the Elizabeth Warren camp, they're like, no, this isn't going to pass. So, excuse me. I had a Red Bull this morning. I don't really like them anymore. Anyways, you are seeing the media narratives play out in real time. There is a very strong vocal group saying that the Clarity Act is not going to pass, that they're going to do everything in their power to fight it. Then there's the other side. It's like, no, we have bipartisan support. Don't even consider what's going on in the corporate press. Like, they're leaking you stories so that you lose faith in this process. But it has bipartisan support. It's going to get through. But the timing is tight. There's not much time left. It is the final stretch on the Clarity Act. I don't know, chat. Are we going to do over, under? Okay, move to China. Have fun. For real. No, dude. Look, I have one right here. Okay, Java man, chill out. But I'm not saying but Trump is, yeah. Yeah, all right. Anyways, keeping the show moving. I do have a good clip. You guys know I've been a huge fan of Fernando, aka at BasedLayer on Twitter. He did just go on Peter McCormack's podcast. A lot of good clips coming out. I picked one in particular that we're going to cover in the numbers. And then in the news, hey, dude, Saylor's back in the news, guys. Saylor is back in the news. We got another huge buy here, but the short of it, he didn't buy any Bitcoin. He is still shoring up his, I would say, credit ratings here. And then, like I said earlier, to wrap up the show, I am going to go over some, it's not chart bowling. I'm going to go on some on-chain metrics to kind of harden my case that I believe we are a lot closer to the end of this bear market. I know Nico's been saying on the show, like, we're 70% through the bear market. I think we're a lot closer to like 90% towards the end. And I have been kind of saying that I think the 60K was essentially the bottom. All right, whatever, 57K. So that's today's show. I'll be right back after a quick commercial break. Here's the part that nobody says out loud. Buying Bitcoin on an exchange and leaving it there isn't buying Bitcoin. It's buying an IOU. And the last decade has been a masterclass in what happens when those exchanges don't deliver on their promises.
Bitcoin Well is a self-custody Bitcoin platform. That means that when you buy Bitcoin, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet. You actually own it from the very first transaction. They're available both in the United States and Canada. Pricing is transparent, straightforward, and no nonsense. And if you're buying a larger amount of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Well Infinite gives you concierge-level support through a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, premium help for when it actually matters.
You can also stack a little extra through the referral and wishing well rewards. A nice bonus on top of the owning your own Bitcoin thing. So go to bitcoinwell.com/simply and sign up for the Bitcoin Well portal today and buy Bitcoin you actually own. Paper burns, paper floods, paper fades. If your seed phrase is written on paper, it's not really backed up. It's waiting to disappear. Stampseed's DIY kit lets you hammer your seed words directly into commercial grade titanium. Fireproof, crush-proof, waterproof, and permanent. Once your words are in the metal, they aren't going anywhere. Use code SIMPLY at stampseed.com for 15% off anything in the store. That's stampseed.com, code SIMPLY. Wait, guys. The Rumble chat is continues to talk about the stamp seed. You know what Kuda said, paper fills up and overflows, C-suite goes every time. I got a little short story here. Over the weekend, my apartment had a what do you call it, like a fire alarm go off, and I set up a new wallet, and I just wrote down paper, and I haven't etched the new wallet into a stamp seed. And I was literally walking out of my apartment to go get some dinner with my buddy, and the fire alarm goes off right when I'm walking out of the apartment. And the first thought was like, oh shit, I didn't back up that seed phrase yet. And I had an Uber like right outside waiting, and I'm like, all right, well, hopefully this is just a false alarm. Hopefully I have an apartment to come back to. And the whole time I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that I didn't back up that one seed phrase on titanium. And yeah, lo and behold, it was a false alarm, and my apartment didn't burn down. So dude, sometimes when you procrastinate a little bit, life starts lifing. Anyways, the current Bitcoin price is $62,260. That is a 50.6% discount from all-time high. We are currently at a $1.25 trillion market cap, and the block height is 957,886. All right, guys. So again, I've been loving Fernando's Twitter account lately. He longtime Bitcoiner. He's kind of entering the media sphere for his new Bitcoin Perception launch, where he covers a lot of media, and he's a hardcore Bitcoiner, but he is challenging a lot of narratives. And I really love what he's doing, because I've been thinking about this constantly. And you've heard me talk about this on the show, where I'm constantly thinking about, okay, where is the state of Bitcoin media? Where's the state of our narratives? And kind of what are the memes that we are using to try to get more people into Bitcoin? And anyways, I saw this little clip, and he goes, the classic, everyone, you hear it all the time, like Bitcoin is for everyone. And we always correct it. And it's like, Bitcoin is not for everyone. It's for anyone. And that is two different things. And he goes, to really get Bitcoin, you need a Truman Show moment. The drastic realization that beliefs you held your whole life about money might not be true. And most people will never walk through this door, but it's open for anyone. But few enter. Anyways, let's watch this little clip. Highly recommend you go follow his Twitter account. I love what he's doing right now. It's one of those accounts where it is biased. He's obviously a hardcore Bitcoiner, but he is challenging what you think and not helping you, but kind of forcing you to think a little more than just rehashing the cliched Bitcoin lines that we all grew up with. So let's watch this little clip, and I couldn't agree with this more.
And really, in the process of that, I've understood that just Bitcoin is just not for everyone. It's for anyone. If they have, I think they need to be of a certain mindset to really grok Bitcoin. It's not for any normie to just all of a sudden fire up an app and start using Bitcoin because it's cool. There's like this undeniable step, which includes a drastic realization of a lot of the beliefs that you've held for a lot of years might not be true, and you need to realize that. And just that is it's very.
So I've been kind of saying this for a while, and I usually bring up the idea. I'm like, I know you guys don't talk to normies anymore. You guys are just all in the Bitcoin echo chambers. All your friends are Bitcoiners. You only chat with Bitcoiners about Bitcoin, and you forget that Bitcoin is still very small. And further, the people that understand Bitcoin is probably fewer than that. And this has been one of those things that I think a lot of Bitcoiners really fight against. Like, we can't understand why people don't understand Bitcoin. We can't wrap our heads around how so many people of our friends and family fight us when we try to talk about Bitcoin, when we try to show them that Bitcoin can solve this or Bitcoin fixes this. And I've been kind of making the case that it's most likely that the memes and the rhetoric that got us super excited and obsessed about Bitcoin, it's like they almost have a shelf life. They almost have like a total addressable market, and we have hit that point. Now, to get more people onto Bitcoin, I think our narratives will have to change. And so I would say I might be a little more optimistic than Fernando is in that clip. In that clip, it obviously kind of makes the case that, oh, look, Bitcoin is not for everyone. It's for anyone. And maybe not everyone will understand Bitcoin. And I've been saying for a long time that I think at a certain point, people won't have to, quote, understand Bitcoin like we have to understand it. It'll just be an improvement on their lives. And I've seen other Bitcoiners talk about this on Twitter as well. In particular, I think it was Walker. Shouts out to Walker America. He tweeted something on the lines of, look, maybe just talking about Bitcoin, you know, the way we all do, like, and the Fed, you know, your purchasing power has been destroyed since 1913. You know, inflation's going crazy. I really think that has probably been saturated to the total addressable market, that like most people just don't care about it. Or even further, what we've seen, you know, when you talk about privacy coins, etc., it's like people don't care about privacy. They just don't. And if they did, then maybe that narrative would catch on. But most people really don't care. And I think up to this point, we all had to understand Bitcoin, the ins and outs, or, you know, as best we could, so that we can feel safe investing our net worth, our life savings into Bitcoin. But there will become soon a point where people will just use it and not really have to understand Bitcoin. I think it'll just be like, if you've ever heard the idea of the 100th monkey experiment, where at a certain point, people will just inherently understand that, oh yeah, Bitcoin is money. I can use it. I can send it. You know, I won't lose money, or I won't lose my purchasing power. Like, they'll inherently understand this, but they won't really understand the ins and outs of it. And I always related to, like, you know, my computer, my iPhone. Is like, I don't know how that thing works. It just works, and I just want it to work. And I think that's what Walker was saying. He's like, look, most people don't care about Bitcoin in the sense of they don't need to know all the technical nuances. All they want is what Bitcoin does for them in their lives. How does Bitcoin improve your lives? And as I've been kind of talking about this every single day, actually, I've almost been a broken record about this same idea for I would say maybe months at this point. Where, look, if we are really on the mission to try to get more people to save in Bitcoin, to more people to use Bitcoin, then part of that, and again, it might not necessarily be your job, it's my job, but since I come out here and I do this show, and I basically am just like thinking in real time with you guys, I'm starting to realize, oh, I need to up my narratives here. I need to up my rhetoric. I need to figure out people's pain points and how to market it in a certain way where, like, you kind of strip away all the nerdy stuff, forgive me, but you strip away all the nerdy nuance and you just show people, look, it's going to make your life better. Like, again, in terms of my iPhone, I really don't care about all the tech going on in the iPhone. All I care is that I can send cat memes to my sister and, you know, take a better picture with the camera and the screen looks nicer. Like, dude, I don't care what goes on in the phone. I just want it to be able to use it better. I have a supercomputer in my pocket. Am I able to, you know, get my ideas across? Am I able to connect with more people? And I think part of that is with Bitcoin, what we need to do. As I brought up Fernando's tweet a little while ago, I think it was on Thursday. Hold on. Sorry, Nico walked in here. I'm like, what's going on in here? As I think it was Thursday when I brought up this idea, it was that the UX, the tech right now, it's like it's not ready for most people yet to dive into Bitcoin, even though we are in the midst of the forturning, even though we're in the midst of this financial revolution, social upheaval. Like, for most people, the tech isn't there yet. And so, going full circle here, I think the idea of like Bitcoin is for anyone is a lot stronger than the idea of Bitcoin is for everyone. Because as we know, if you talk to people, like there seems to be a psychological block for a lot of people when you bring up Bitcoin. They're just like, they tune out, they don't care. And I think at a certain point they will start caring. And I have a little guess that I think I know when that point will be. Number go up. But hey, I didn't say that. No, actually, someone was trolling me over the weekend. They're like, you know, most Bitcoin influencers don't admit that they're here for number go up. And someone's like, yeah, but Opti does every single day with his 42 IQ. At least he's honest about it. I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? Look, I'm not just here for number go up, but something has to fund the revolution, dude. I don't want to be a broke revolutionary. We need number to go up so that we can actually put our money where our mouth is. Like, we need people to have wealth and influence if this is going to do what we want it to do. It's not that complicated, guys. It's not an if or that thing. It's a why not both? Why not both? Okay. All right. Anyways, I've rambled enough about this. You guys got the message. We are going to cover the latest saga in the strategy Saylor story. So I'll be right back in a minute.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin. Here's something most Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Ledin fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash. And they just introduced their lowest rates ever. No complexity, no fine print. The larger the loan, the lower the rate. These new rates apply to all new loans, refinances, and renewals. You'll see all the rates up front before you apply. The new, lower rates come with Ledin's gold standard protection. Your Bitcoin remains custodied and is never lent out for interest. Perfect 8-year track record of keeping clients' assets safe. Auto top-ups, LTV alerts, and partial repayments to keep you in control. Repay whenever you want with zero penalties or monthly payments. Ledin's perfect $10 billion track record through every market cycle in the last 8 years speaks for itself. Don't choose between a great rate and the safety of your Bitcoin. Get both at Ledin. If you ever thought, what happens to my Bitcoin if something happens to me? Or what happens if I lose my phone? You're not alone. For a lot of people, the biggest barrier to self-custody isn't buying Bitcoin. It's the fear of making a mistake. And that's why I like Bitkey and I recommend it to my friends and family. Bitkey is a Bitcoin wallet built for real life. Not just for day one, but for everything that happens in between. Lost devices, upgrades, accidents, and long-term ownership. There's no seed phrase to write down and worry about losing. And no single point of failure that can lock you out of your Bitcoin forever. What really stands out about Bitkey is the peace of mind. Recovery is built in. Inheritance is built in. It's a complete self-custody system built by the team behind Square and Cash App, designed to make holding your own Bitcoin simpler and safer. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today using Bitkey. Go to bitkey.world and use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off your new Bitkey. That's bitkey.world, promo code SIMPLY.
All right, guys. Well, look at this. It looks like I have a guest on the show. It's Nico with a late edition on the show. Okay. All right, cool. Let me let's start. Let's unpack this. So, we saw this morning, guys, and it really, I think, shows what Saylor's been trying to do. Obviously, he's trying to beef up that stretch position or that stretch stock after, what was it, like 2-3 weeks ago, where it had a huge crash, the market freaked out. Well, this news this morning is more of that. So Strategy increased its US dollar reserves by 450 million. As of 7/12/2026, they hodl 843,775 Bitcoin in their Bitcoin reserves and $3 billion in their USD reserves. Read another way from the block, Strategy sells $467 million in MST shares, makes no Bitcoin purchases as USD reserve hits $3 billion. Now, this has been the controversy we've seen for weeks now, where one, it does look like Strategy is diluting the MSTR common shareholder There hasn't been very many Bitcoin buys, and they are rebuilding that USD reserves because the market basically told them, hey, if you do not hold about 2 years of cash reserves, we are not comfortable buying the stretch product. And that is basically what they are doing here. As you can see here from the strategy dashboard, they now have about 20 months of dollars dividend payments. So they're beefing the dollar reserves here, though some of the backlash on Twitter was pretty interesting. My favorite one was Vikingo. He said something on the lines of like, if Saylor,
Vikingo's our boy,
Vikingo, our boy, what he said something like,
Vikingo.
If Saylor listened to me, he would have stacked dollars on the way up and not at the bottom of the bear market. Just going super savage. But I guess in context of what we are seeing, you do have to look at the MSTR and stretch prices here to really gauge whether the market is actually, I guess, rebuilding that trust in Saylor, because this is what it's all been. I've been saying this from the very beginning. Saylor himself said a long time ago, before this whole saga happened, he was asked the question, like, why would people buy MSTR or even stretch? And he basically said, hey, if you like Bitcoin and you trust that we will manage our finances correctly, then you will buy our stock. And it's basically like a leveraged Bitcoin play. So looking at the MSTR price on this news this morning, it looks like the MSTR stock is down a little bit to 91.75. Let's look at the stretch product. It is also seemingly down to 87. So they're still having sorry, I didn't pull it up, guys. They're still having a bit of trouble regaining that trust from the market, and people are second guessing whether they should buy this stuff. Now, I know a lot of people in the chat are like, this is a pure buy signal for me for MSTR and stretch, etc. But the broader market right now, you can see in this context that everything strategy is doing right now is, one, to get that higher S&P 500 credit rating, and two, basically make the market feel a little more comfortable in these products. And that's what all these moves are doing. So he is, in fact, adding to his melting ice cube reserves, but it's to appease the investors and the credit rating. So
yeah, I mean, look, like ultimately, I touched upon this like earlier on in the week, right? This cycle in particular was a cycle of Bitcoin treasury companies, like without a shadow of a doubt, right? It was the cycle of Wall Street coming into Bitcoin for the first time. It was the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF that marked the beginning of the cycle. That basically allowed the Bitcoin price to reach an all-time high before the halving. And then you had what I would call the vindication of Saylor, because Saylor really started the treasury model back in 2021, but he wasn't fully vindicated because when he started the treasury model back in 2021 and his stock price did increase from like $14 and it went all the way up, it went all the way back down when the bear market hit in 2022. Now, when the cycle started back up again in 2023 and 2024, Saylor's stock absolutely effing crushed it. It 31x'd. It went from the bottom was like $13-14 and it went all, I think maybe it touched 500 if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, it was a little higher than 500, but yeah.
It hit 500, right? And then what happened after that? You saw a bunch of other companies follow in the footsteps of Michael Saylor and spin up treasury companies, right? I'm not going to name a lot of them because a lot of the people that are helming these treasury companies are my friends. But if you guys have been paying attention to treasury companies, a lot of them kind of followed the Michael Saylor model, right? So, again, a lot of them are my friends. I'm not going to be specific. But the big ones, right? The big ones that we all are aware of that are associated with big names in the industry. Now, this is what happens every single bear market cycle. Bear market cycle, what happens is like nature starts to heal itself. And the euphoria that Wall Street experienced, now they're starting to get a come down. So we might not have had a euphoric blow off top in the spot Bitcoin price, but we definitely got a euphoric blow off top in the treasury companies. a huge blow off top. Now, Saylor with Stretch and with the strategy price, if you're looking at it from a stockholder perspective, despite the Bitcoin price being down 50% from all-time highs, Saylor is still crushing it. If you bought his stock at $14, even in the beginning of 2021, and you're holding it right now, you're still significantly up on your investment. I think it's at $91 right now, strategy. So you're still doing really well. I think where it kind of worked against him in terms of what his marketing strategy was, no pun intended there. He went and told the market, never sell your Bitcoin. He also went and told the market, look, guys, Stretch is holding $100. And he was advocating for Stretch to be a great product for fixed income investors. And fixed income investors, they don't want that crazy volatility. They want that guaranteed return. Unfortunately, once Stretch broke that $100 pair and it went below, yeah, you might be getting 11% dividends, but at the same time, you're not taking into account the 25% down in volatility that the Stretch product went through. I know it recovered a little bit. So the market is digesting all of these things. What gets me really excited is that this next cycle, Wall Street has the infrastructure in place. They know what these companies are all about now. And I think what these companies, the next evolution of what these companies are going to take place on is I think a lot of these companies are going to have to justify the valuations that they have. I think that the model of just holding Bitcoin on your balance sheet, I don't know if that model is going to continue working into the future, because if you just use your common sense, right, you're getting exposure to strategy. Strategy, what they're doing is they're rinsing and repeating the same thing. They're basically raising money by selling their shares. They're devaluing, their shareholders, you could say that. And they're using that to buy Bitcoin. But my question and my response to you guys is, why not just buy spot Bitcoin and get away from the counterparty risk, get away from having to pay management, getting away from management risks? You could just buy spot Bitcoin, right? So these treasury companies are going to have to fundamentally change, again, no pun intended, their strategy. So the market actually gives them valuations. And if you look at some of them, again, not going to go into any of the specifics, some of them are below their MNAV, meaning the amount of assets they hold is higher than their total market cap. So if you're a Bitcoin investor, the hurdle rate is Bitcoin. If you're investing in something other than Bitcoin, you want it to outperform Bitcoin so you can have more Bitcoin. So that's what's going to be determined over the next couple of years. I think it's going to be extremely exciting to see what these companies do and the strategies they come up with. The people behind them are incredibly brilliant executives and entrepreneurs. So I have no doubt that it's, there's going to be some type of move that's been made. And it's going to be really exciting to see how this plays out in the next couple of years. But let's get back to the fundamentals here at Simply Bitcoin. We have not changed. Even though this cycle got hijacked a little bit by the Suitcoiners and by the introduction of Wall Street, our messaging has been exactly the same, and it won't change. Ultimately, what you should be focused on is making sure that you have more Bitcoin today than the day before. And ideally, not ideally, you should have that Bitcoin in self-custody. Full stop. That's what you got to focus on. So it was a little bit of a distraction cycle. And again, guys, you can't really get upset with this. You can't really get angry with this. This is part of Bitcoin being adopted as the future global reserve asset. If you think that Wall Street wasn't inevitably going to get involved, you're kidding yourself. And eventually we're going to get to a point where actual nation states, even though we've had confirmations from the Coinbase executive saying that nation states are actively buying Bitcoin. You know, we haven't seen the names of those nation states, right? We haven't really seen a lot of movement on the U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve. That's the next step, in my humble opinion. El Salvador, of course, is leading the charge here. Not only do they have a Bitcoin treasury, it's public. Anyone could audit it at any given time. So as a Bitcoiner, your goal should be having more spot Bitcoin today in your custody than the day before. If you don't know how to do that, go check out our friends over at Bitcoin Way. They'll literally walk you through the process A to Z. You should be running your own node at this point. It's unexcusable. We release polls all the time on this channel asking you guys how many of you guys are running your own nodes. And it's like, I think it's like 40 to 60% of you guys are not running your own nodes. If you guys are tuning into Simply Bitcoin, you should be running your own node by now. You should be running your own version of the Bitcoin software. You shouldn't be trusting someone else's. And then the second part of this is, look, if you want to gamble, because that's what it is, if you want to gamble with some of your Bitcoin to, you know, put some of that Bitcoin into these Bitcoin companies, these Bitcoin treasury companies, these Bitcoin treasury vehicle companies, because you believe that the next cycle they're going to outperform Bitcoin, that's on you. Like, if you want to do that, that's on you. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm saying, like, look, the best strategy, no pun intended, in my opinion, and I've seen this play out, been in this industry for a decade at this point. Best strategy is stay humble, stay solvent, stack sats, put those stacks into self-custody. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. I'm not going to tell you not to buy strategy or not to buy stretch. I'm not going to tell you not to buy NVIDIA. I'm not going to tell you not to buy Pepe. If you want to buy Pepe, that's on you. But what I can tell you is that the best outcomes that I've seen from the people that have really grown significant wealth in Bitcoin has been people that have bought Bitcoin and not touched it for years. So they stopped playing games, essentially, is what I'm saying. That's not to say any of these companies are not a good investment short term. They could be. They could be great investments. Like, if you bought strategy in the beginning of at the bottom of the last bear market and you held it and you sold at the appropriate time, you would probably end up with, you would have more Bitcoin today than if you just bought spot Bitcoin. But then you get into kind of like the trading games and the investing games. And the whole point of Bitcoin is to free you from that. It's to free you from having to worry about inflation, having to worry about being a part-time investor just to maintain your purchasing power. The whole point of Bitcoin is not only to give you your sovereignty back, but it's also to give you your time back so that you can focus on your craft, whatever your craft is. Whether you're a dentist, you're a surfer, you're a podcaster, whatever it is. And then you take your wealth and you park it in Bitcoin. I saw a tweet the other day. I think it was from one of the whale accounts. I forget the exact name, but it went something along the lines of like, it's never been more expensive today to buy a home in the United States of America than it's ever been. And my reply to that tweet is, yeah, because you're using the wrong unit of account. If you've been saving and earning in Bitcoin, as we constantly advocate for on Simply Bitcoin, it's literally in the name. Housing has never been cheaper in the United States if you're using Bitcoin as your unit of account. Full stop. So, yeah, man, I mean, look, I know strategy and Saylor get the headlines, and I know that's what people are talking about, and I think that's like the exciting thing, and Wall Street getting involved, but we have to remember our roots. We have to remember why we're here. And ultimately, what Bitcoin ultimately provides you, if it's in self-custody, is freedom. It gives you back your time. It gives you back your sovereignty. And that's why we're here. This is what it's all about. And I know, like, if you look back on it, I was having conversations with people. It's like, dude, Nico, like, I bought Bitcoin and, 5 years ago at the top and I'm down on my investment. I don't really have a good response to that. All I would say is like, lower your time preference. Like infinity divided by 21 million. As long as governments continue to print money, where do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to go up? It's not rocket science. And we have to remember, this is a midterm year. This is the year after the bull market year. So, and it's following the 4-year cycle to a T. And I was vindicated. Opti had to take a break on the Friday show. Well-deserved break, by the way. And I remember the Van Eck executive was saying, we got to be respectful of the 4-year cycle. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Vindication for Nico. So, yeah, man. I mean, look, this is par of the course. This is the 4-year cycle playing out as it usually does. But this is the best opportunity for you to get Bitcoin, historically speaking. I'm incredibly bullish about 2027, incredibly bullish about 2028, and incredibly bullish about 2029. And I'm especially excited about what type of cycle is that going to be. Because the 2021 cycle was the altcoin cycle. It was like crazy altcoins, like Doge was pumping like crazy. The 2025 cycle was the cycle of institutional Bitcoin, Wall Street Bitcoin. Is the next cycle going to be the cycle of central bank Bitcoin? You know how crazy that is, central bank Bitcoin? They literally can print their own money and they could buy an asset that has absolute scarcity. That's bonkers, right? So I don't know what the next cycle holds for us, but I'm incredibly excited. It's going to be so different. And the disillusionment that I see in the community, it's the worst it's ever been. I haven't seen this type of disillusionment in my entire career in Bitcoin. And that disillusionment is good. The tourists leave. The inefficient operators, they go down. The true believers, the maximalists, the fundamentalists, the ones that are here for the mission are the ones that stick around. So who are you? Who are you? Which side of the fence do you fall on, right? So we can't take a critical view on Saylor, on what he's doing. We have to be very objective. It was an inevitability that Wall Street was going to get involved. It's so easy for you to judge the man in the arena. It's so easy for you to cast judgment on what someone with this huge burden on top of him, you know, which is managing a public company, and his actions. He's a human being like the rest of us, and he's doing the best that he can. This is 20 years of Saylor's stock going sideways. He found Bitcoin and he managed to basically, you know, make his company rise out like a phoenix from the ashes. So, you know, I'm bullish on strategy. I'm bullish on a lot of these other treasury companies as well. I think they're going to do fantastic. I think they're going to pivot and change strategies moving into the future. But ultimately, that's not what this show's about. This show is about Bitcoiners reclaiming back their financial sovereignty by taking Bitcoin, earning Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, and putting that Bitcoin into self-custody. And we have to continue to beat that battle drum. That's my bit.
All righty then. Let's wrap this show up. I was gonna try to do like an hour show, but Nico comes in for 20-minute rant. No, it's chill. Last commercial break, and we will wrap up today's show on Monday. Be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy across 3 continents, HIVE runs dual engines, Bitcoin mining and AI compute. Their AI platform is ranked #1 in the world for network performance, and it's doing something bigger than compute. It's accelerating human discovery, the science, the breakthroughs, pushing humanity further and faster. Listed on the NASDAQ with the ticker HIVE. Catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech on X or HIVEDigitalTech.com.
You secured your Bitcoin, but did you secure your devices too? They're still broadcasting your location and digital footprint. GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cell, 5G, EMF, all of it is leaking. Escape Zone fixes that. Their Faraday bags block every signal your device emits, so you decide when you're detectable, not the grid. Built for Bitcoiners who know sovereignty isn't just your wallet. It's your phone, your hardware wallet, your keys, and your entire digital life. Go to escapezone.com/simply and use code SIMPLY for 10% off. That's escapezone.com/simply, code SIMPLY. Alrighty, guys. So I saw some interesting tweets here. They are on-chain metrics. You know, maybe you guys could hold that with a grain of salt. And I will relate it to a conversation Nico and I and one of our friends was having over the weekend. But Bitfinex tweeted, Bitcoin has spent 5 months below the short-term hodler cost basis at 72.2K. In past bears, it takes 5 to 6 months to reclaim that level, and the realized price near 54,000 has never broken. On chain, this reads late stage bear with the clock running out on it. Going further, we finally, like we were covering last week, finally seeing the ETF inflows come back. So last week was the first net positive Bitcoin ETF flow in 9 weeks of roughly $197 million. So we had 8 weeks of selling coming out of the ETFs. Now they're coming back online, or rather, you know, the inflows are coming back in where, you know, a lot of people are selling their coin right now thinking it's going to crash forever. Looks like the institutions, I would say retail institutions, are coming back online. Going further, last week, to wrap up last week, On-Chain tweeted the percentage of circulating Bitcoin that has been held for 6 months or more has nearly reached all-time highs. This often precedes strong moves to the upside. Supply squeeze may be imminent. Obviously, we did see the price go up to about 63 last week. Did recover a little bit, or sorry, did pull back a little bit here. But I've been kind of making the case, and me and Nico have been arguing about this, that I think we are further along in the bear market than all of us would probably want to talk about.
Bro, October's in like 3 months.
Yeah, but that's my point. You've been saying like we're 70% of the way through the bear market. Dude, I'm like, dude, the bear market's basically over, guys.
I mean, yeah, in the last 3 months, in the next 3 months, it's going to resolve itself. What I think the final question on everybody's mind is, are we going to see a final capitulation event? That's the only thing.
I agree. That's where we'll know. But anyways, I do want to shift this a little bit because we had one of our really good friends come over here over the weekend, and we had a barbecue. And I'm not going to dox our boy, but we were trolling the whole time while we were eating food. It's like, bro, is it over? Like, is it over? Did we all get scammed? Because we all came in at the same time. We're all basically, you know, roughly the same era of Bitcoiners.
Yeah, we all started our career in Bitcoin around the same time.
Exactly. And we were all sitting there like, yo, damn, is it over? Like, do we have to literally like capitulate our coin here? Because like, are we ever going back up? And like in that moment, we were all laughing. And even though we were trolling, like as Nico always says when I troll, it's like, yeah, they're half truths. But we know it's going to go back up. But right now we're just like, it's been so brutal. We're like, dude, do we have to go buy the S&P 500 or what? Like, what is going on here? And, you know, Nico said that to me, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago when me and another friend were in here talking about the bear market and like, yo, sell it all. We're like, dude, perfect bear market signals from our friends that are hardcore Bitcoiners. So that's just how you know, like this bear market, it's been brutal on every single one of us, especially if you like work in Bitcoin. It's just like, bro, it's been rough. It's been rough. But I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it. What was your takeaway from our conversation?
It makes me incredibly happy because it's the same kind of pattern that I've been describing to you guys for the last couple of weeks, right? I have OGs, I have Opti, I have my wife, you know, I have, you know, he's behind the scenes, but I have one of the executives here at Simply Bitcoin, like kind of saying the same thing. And my messaging has always been the same, guys. Like, this is what capitulation looks like. When everyone gets disillusioned, when the sentiment is this bad, it's like the perfect platform that Bitcoin needs in order for it to get to those crazy levels. I would be like, it wouldn't surprise me at all that the next cycle rips harder than the previous cycle. Because the previous cycle, and I could tell you this for a fact, because me and Opti were in the trenches together in the bear markets of 2022 and the bear markets of 2018. And like our friendship was forged during those trying times. We knew with utmost certainty that this thing was going to rip to high heaven when the bull market came back. This is the first cycle where people they don't believe that Bitcoin can go higher. And this reminds me of, this was before my time, but from my research and talking to people at this era and this whatever, it reminds me of the 2014, 2015 bear market. And the 2014, 2015 bear market, guys, you understand what Bitcoin was going through. The biggest and only Bitcoin exchange that you can buy Bitcoin from literally got hacked and blew the F up. And I'm talking about Mt. Gox. There was nowhere to buy Bitcoin from. You couldn't buy Bitcoin. It was like, Bitcoin is over. It's done. It's dusted. It had a good run. Pack it up. Go home. But if you bought during that 2014, 2015 period, you were buying $300 Bitcoin, and it ripped from $300 to $20,000 in 2 years. So I'm seeing a very similar pattern here in terms of the amount of disillusionment, in terms of the amount of people that have lost hope, in terms of the amount of capitulation that we're seeing with Wall Street and Bitcoin. So this is the perfect setup, because by the time this is over, by the end of the year, like, we've already played you guys the montage of all those billionaires and all those investors are like, yeah, Bitcoin's done. It's over. It's you know, this was yesterday's news. It had a good run, but pack it up. I refuse to believe that. 100%. I refuse to believe that. No, I'm going down with the ship, or I'm going up with the ship, if that's the right expression. I don't know. So
I don't think that's the right expression.
I don't know, but you guys get it.
Wait, Nico, so are you saying there's a chance we might repeat the 2017 bull market? Let's go.
I'm not only saying that, but based on the sentiment that I'm seeing, how the market feels right now, I'm 100% saying that.
Wow,
dude.
wow. Nico flipped bullish.
I'm not feeling.
Nico's going bullish. All right. Capitulation coming soon.
I'm not bullish short term, but I'm extremely bullish for next year, and I'm very bullish for 2028. I'm extremely bullish for 2029, and we're already halfway through the year, ladies and gents. And if the 4-year cycle holds, the bottom should be in October. That's 3 months from now.
Bottom's already in.
So, and
you got 3 months to stack. Wait, 3 months to stack.
Straight up. Like, that's what you have. That's you literally have 3 months of the discount window before that discount window closes.
I'll agree with that. I will agree with that. We are in agreement on that.
And then the price is going to start picking up again. And all the tourists, you know what? Because they're so disillusioned, I bet you when the price starts picking up again, they're not going to buy. Hell no.
Wait, when do you think they get back in? 150?
Nah, bro. I think the FOMO starts at 250. I think that's when the FOMO starts.
Oh, you're claiming 250.
I think the FOMO starts at 250.
Damn.
Because at 150, people are gonna be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Maybe at 200. I take it back. Maybe 200.
Wow, dude. Calling 200K at 60K. I love it. Damn, we're back. We're so back. We are so back.
All right, let's wrap up today's show. I'm tired.
We're so back.
I had a crazy morning.
We are so back.
Crazy morning.
All right, guys. Before I go, of course, hold on. I didn't pull it up. I do want to give a huge shout out to our boys over at Mining Disrupt. Guys, make sure you make your way down to Miami. Come hang out with us at Mining Disrupt, July 21st to the 23rd. So what, in about 10 days? Wow, 10 days in 10 days in Miami. We're going to be at Mining Disrupt. And if I am not mistaken, I think we're going to be doing the live desk down there. So if you are interested in mining, want to hear all of the controversies around mining, you definitely want to go to Mining Disrupt in Miami. Scan the QR code, use promo code simplybitcoin to get, it says 20, but I think it might be 10. Anyways, use promo code simplybitcoin. Come hang out with us in Miami. We are going to be at Mining Disrupt in about 10 days, guys. On that note, it's the Monday show, so you already know the deal. We go live Monday through Friday, roughly 12:40. You know, and I know I post the show at 12:16, but we go live at 12:40. You guys should know this by now. So you, excuse me, I see you guys crashing out on me about this. Hey, I'm working up until the buzzer, okay? I post the show. I'm still getting stuff prepped. Official start time is official start time is 12:40. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You already know the deal. Make sure you are getting the exercise in, calling your loved ones, eating good, touching some grass, getting some sunlight. But most importantly, of course, stacking Bitcoin and taking it off the exchanges. On that note, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.